And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Friday First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new number one issues, story arcs, character debuts, and the like. This is for books that are coming out next week on May 22nd, May 21st and 22nd, 2024. So there are actually more books than I planned for as I was putting together the agenda for the show recording. I had a short list of books, and then I was like, oh, I missed this book and this book and this book, and then there were a few other books that I ended up reading before the show. So it's a packed show, got a lot to talk about. So let's just jump right in to those recaps. So last week I talked about a bunch of books. This week I have read 6 of those books so far. So I figured I would do a shorter recap than I usually do because I usually only cover 3 or 4 books tops. But of the 8 books that I had talked about last week, I have read 6 already. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those. Let's kick things off with Exo-Man of War Invictus issue number 1. This series confused me at first because from the Valiants and other stuff that I've read from Valiant in this kind of soft relaunch and everything, I assumed that Exo was dead. I had not been keeping up to tabs with Exo and what was going on with the character of Eric and all his journeys and everything. So I didn't know that he was like on this other planet doing this other thing. So I was a little confused about the timeline, but then they kind of explained it within the book. So I appreciated that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That makes sense. That works. He's got his own thing. He's after. He's trying to free somebody that is a prisoner, and at the same time trying to keep all these other people fed and safe. And something's going wrong with the armor. So it's very similar to like when Tony Stark was stranded on that alien planet and had no way to get back and just had to kind of assimilate to life as it was and kind of take things as they came. And that's kind of this very similar story here. I wasn't quite as pulled into the character. If I was coming into Exo cold and knew nothing about him, I would be so lost in this book. But since I do have some knowledge of Exo and I have read some of the modern Valiant stuff with Exo-Man of War, I was like, okay, I kind of get where he's at and everything. But at the same time, this is a character that's a hard sell for me anyway. So unfortunately, this issue did very little to kind of bring me back on side with Exo personally. But that's just me. Next up, we have Heart Piercer issue number 1. This is from Dark Horse Comics, written by Rich Douek. I've shouted out Rich before on this show. He did this series a long time ago that I really love called Gutter Magic, and then he started doing stuff with Comics Tribe like Welling Blade, which I really enjoyed as well. He's done work for IDW and Dark Horse and different publishers that has been really solid stuff. So I was like, okay, this is dark fantasy. It's a writer I like. So I'm going to try it out. And I was pleasantly surprised. It didn't blow me away, but at the same time, I was invested in the character. This character that is known as Heart Piercer starts off, you learn that she's like this master warrior that fells all the magical and mythical beasts in the world, and she finally takes down the last one, and then she's betrayed, and then she's killed. And this all happens very quickly at the very beginning of the book. I think it was in the preview pages even. But obviously that's not the end of her story and what happens. We still don't know. We're left like with a little bit of a cliffhanger on what's happening, but we know that the world has changed, and this villain that you see on the cover here at the bottom has kind of set loose his army on the world and kind of taken over. So now this Heart Piercer, who was once his greatest ally, is now the one thing standing in his way. So it's a beautiful story. The art is really nice, really dark and grim and gritty, like kind of Rich's style, and he kind of gravitates towards those type of books. So I thought it was a solid first issue. You understood what was going on. You knew the characters. You were invested in their stories, and you knew exactly kind of where this was headed, at least in the short term. if not the intricacies of the plot. So. Next, we have Ultimate X-Men number 3. This was the issue. This was the hinge issue. This was the one that I was like, okay, this is going to win me over. It's going to lose me. Issue 1, I did not enjoy. Issue 2 was better for me. I liked the introduction of Maystorm, and I was like, okay, if we're going to continue to grow the cast, I know Nico is coming. This could be interesting for me. And then Nico does come in this issue, but the entire issue for me personally fell flat. The plot was kind of all over the place for me, unfortunately. And because I was already kind of on the fence with the style of the book and the storytelling, and Nico, her character, all three of these characters kind of blend into each other. We did learn a little bit more about Maystorm and where her powers may come from, and maybe that the term mutant is a little less is a little looser in this version of the Marvel universe, this Ultimate universe, because Nico's like in the revelation of Nico at the end, the cliffhanger onto that, and it's like, okay, maybe that's just a blanket term, or maybe they don't really understand or know, or maybe these are completely different origins and we just don't know how it's all piecing together. But I'm still left confused about a lot of things. The story was a little harder to follow for me, and at this point, I don't think I'm going to continue with this book. Next up, we have Masters of the Universe Revolution, issue number 1. This is a prequel to the Netflix series. This, obviously, if you're not a Masters of the Universe He-Man fan, going into this book, you're going to be a little lost because these are characters that any fan of the franchise will be very familiar with. And if you go into this, you're going to be like, okay, these are a bunch of characters I don't know, and I don't know why I'm supposed to care. But if you are a fan like myself, you're going to be like, oh, this is really cool. This is the beginning of how Skeletor or Keldor and Hordak meet and why they come together in the first place and why Skeletor has this staff of power instead of Hordak and all this stuff. They answer all those questions within this one issue of this prequel, and it was brilliantly constructed. A little heavy on the narration side, but it kind of made sense. I forgive it because of the way that the story was told, with the fates and Hordak's quest for power and Keldor's quest for belonging, basically. So the way that they came together, I thought made sense, and I'm very curious to see where this goes from here. But I thought this was a really solid issue. Then we have Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt issue number 1. This was actually surprisingly pleasant for me. I thought this was better than Amazing Spider-Man 49, which also tied into Blood Hunt. The art was a little bit better here. The storytelling, the pacing, Spider-Man's character, the way he bounced off of the other characters in the story, Misty Knight and Lizard. And then, the backup story with Colleen Wing and Morbius was also pretty good. I like these little side stories. They felt like they belonged in the main story of Blood Hunt. It felt like they were going somewhere. There was a reason behind it. The Beyond Corporation is tied into this whole Blood Hunt thing, as we learn in this issue. A very big piece of that puzzle, actually a couple of big pieces of the puzzle, are revealed in this issue about Blood Hunt and who's behind it and why and what connections it has to Misty and Colleen and Spider-Man. So I thought this was a really good issue that kind of filled in a lot of gaps in the overall Blood Hunt story. And I wasn't expecting that. So, kudos for that. And finally, we have a Doom issue 1. This is a one-shot, giant-size one-shot, future told story by Jonathan Hickman, with Doom being the last hope to save the universe. We get told the story through the words of Valeria Richards that Doom came against Galactus and lost, and all the rest of the heroes and villains in not only on Earth but in the universe lost as well. And now Doom is being brought back by Valeria, put back together, empowered with I don't want to give it away, but a secret sauce that Valeria has come up with. for one last chance to stop Galactus from just completely decimating the universe. A little bit more happens. I thought the art was really nice. It was a little sketchy. If you're not into that, if you like more solid lines and stuff, that might be an issue with you, but I thought it fit the story because it was a dark, you know, in a way post-apocalyptic, still sci-fi kind of story. Uh, set mostly in space, and these two giant, cosmic powered beings fighting against each other. I thought it fit. Valeria's character was really well done here. Her intelligence shone through in this issue as well. And yeah, I thought it was a fine issue. It left it very open ended, and being a one shot, I was hoping for like a conclusion. Definitely a definitive ending, and we did not get that. So that was a little disappointing, but I still got what they were going for. So I thought it was a pretty good issue, all in all. With that said, let's get into those first issues that are coming out next week, and see what's up, see what I'm feeling and what I'm ranking these books, and hopefully we'll find some gems here. All right, first up we have Local Man issue number 10. This is a brand new story arc, jumping on point. We have a new mystery that is setting off in this issue. So if you are a fan of this series, you've been enjoying it for the past 9 issues, you'll definitely want to continue reading here. And if you're new to the book, they do a pretty good job of recapping what's gone on, or the general premise of the book, basically. And you kind of get that. You got that at the beginning of the second arc, and I think you'll get the same here. Now, instead of just his town hating him, the entire world kind of hates Jack and wants him dead and all this stuff. And so now there's an ally from his superhero past that comes into the picture, as well as this new mystery kicks off. So I enjoy the book. I thought that the second arc started off a little weak, but it got stronger as it went on, and I thought the finish was fine. So I'm kind of excited for the next chapter of this story, and I'm giving this one a promisingly good because of that. Next, we have a Blood Hunt tie-in, Union Jack the Ripper, Blood Hunt issue number 1, and that's the title that caught my attention. It's like, I wasn't planning on getting all the tie-ins, but I was like, Union Jack the Ripper, that's interesting. And the logo is striking, the image, the cover here is striking as well. Pretty cool cover there. So I was like, okay, what is this all about? And it is, kind of what it says. Union Jack is defending defending the UK against this vampire outbreak, and in a violent nature, it would seem. So it looks like he's the only one there to keep London from falling, and it looks like it's going to get very grim and gritty. It says parental advisory on the cover. This is by Kevin Scott and Kev Walker. So I'm in for this. I think it sounds interesting. I'm not usually a Union Jack fan, but because of the subject matter here, I'm going to give it a potentially good, and I'm going to check it out, and hopefully it'll exceed my expectations. Next, we have Void Rivals issue number 9, and the reason this one is on the list is because it is the first appearance of Springer, who is a Transformer. First Energon Universe appearance of the Triple Changer Autobot character. So definitely want to check this one out if you are a collector, if you want to get all those first appearances. Obviously not the first appearance of Springer in comics, but definitely in the Energon universe, in this version of Transformers and everything, in this connected universe, your first appearance. And it's just cool to have another connection to the wider Energon universe in Void Rivals. We've seen sprinkled a little here and there, but they've been few and far between. And now we get another actual Transformer in the mix, which is going to be fun. So I can't wait to see that. I love this book anyway. So I'm giving this one a positively good, which is the only, I'll just spoil it right here. This is the only positively good on the list this week. I love everything Energon Universe, and this included. Even with this being a brand new property, I've really enjoyed this book so far. So positively good from me. Next, we have White Boat issue 1. This is from Distillery. This is by Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavilla. Again, I've mentioned this on this show before with these Distillery books. None of them have really blown me away. None of them have really kept my attention to continue on, and the oversized format really bothers me. But I'm always game for trying a Scott Snyder book. And that team, it's going to be well written at the very least. It's going to have beautiful art. The subject matter, where you have all these yachts and these I'll show you the cover here. The premise, basically this island with this massive these like tentacles below it, so it's in a giant eyeball looming. So obviously it's one of those like hidden mystery big monsters under the sea. The island is actually a giant turtle kind of thing, whatever. I forget what that's from, but it's that kind of story. It's got a little bit of mystery, a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of horror vibes to it, and those things can be really good, especially when you have a solid creative team. So I'm going to give it a shot. I know, but I'm still going to give it a shot. And as far as ranking it goes, I'm going to give it a potentially good. Just because my track record with Distillery books has been very low. But I'm still holding out hope that something is going to just hit right with me, and I'm hoping this one is it. So we'll see. Next, we have Amazing Spider-Man issue number 50. Aside from the milestone number, the Green Goblin returns in this issue, and that is why I included it on the list this time. Legacy number 944 for those wondering. And Marv Wolfman returns to Spider-Man as well, as they tell a backup story in this issue also. So the sons of Norman Osborn have found their way home, and Norman shows his true color, which is green. So Norman, back as the Green Goblin, fighting Spider-Man and Ed McGuinness art. Sounds like a fun time to me. So I'm going to give this one a promisingly good, and hope that it is a really fun read. Remember at the top of the show when I said I missed this book and this book and this book? This was one of them. This was not on my radar at all. I did not see this at all. This is Blood Squad 7, issue 1. This is from Image Comics, and this is written by Joe Casey with art by Paul Fry. This is an interesting concept because we often see like stories, and it actually says this in the description here, but we often see stories where a Golden Age or Silver Age team disbands, comes back, and tries to come back together and be heroes again in the modern age, whichever era that may be. This is taking a spin on that, but it's taking the spin of these are 90s style characters that have been inactive for 30 years, and now they are coming in 2024 modern times and coming back together and trying to be heroes. And so you're going to see your like your Youngblood, Wildstorm, Wildcats kind of heroes, 90s, maybe X-Men type characters as well, try to come back and be heroes in the modern era, which I think is very interesting. I'll just read a little bit here, and because you can't see the whole description here, but that first paragraph basically says that members were seen on television, magazine covers, scoring $1 million endorsement deals. They were celebrities, but that was then, and this is now. A new generation of modern-day heroes takes up the mantle, or perhaps the poison chalice, fulfilling a promise made decades ago to the heroes that a fractured America needs. And then it goes into what I was just explaining about how these stories usually go. But, even by the cover image here, they're all silhouetted. We can't quite see them, but you can kind of see the stylings. You definitely see those 90s shoulder pads and stuff like that here. So it just sounded like a fun concept to me, and I definitely want to check it out. Not familiar with the artist, but, this sounds fun. So I'm going to give this one a potentially good, again, because I haven't seen the art and I don't know exactly what tone the story is going to take, but I'm eager to find out. Next up, we have Archie Comics Judgment Day issue 1. If anything, Archie has done Archie horror quite well over the past decade. And this one sounds like it's right up that alley. Sounds like it's going to take some lessons from all of that. So in this book, this version of Riverdale is being overrun with demons, and Archie, of course, is the only one that can stop it. He has a fiend captive that is empowering him to be able to combat all these demonic versions of all his friends and family. And throughout that, having to destroy them, it's messing with his moral compass and, trying to kind of wear him down. And he's having crisis of conscience through this. It sounds like a really fun story. Sounds deep like some of those Archie horror books of the past few years have been. The thing that does give me pause is the creative team behind it. I'm not usually a fan of Aubrey Sitterson's writing, so we'll see. But the concept kind of sold me before I even knew who the creative team was. So I'm giving this one a potentially good. I do believe it's just a one shot, but I'm not positive. It says no, it says first ever premium Archie premium event, so maybe it is a mini series. But whatever the case may be, actually, I think it might say right there, one of three, maybe. I can't quite read it. Don't have my reading glasses on. But I don't know. I'll give it a shot. I'll give the first issue a shot and see what it's all about. And then we have Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, issue number 1. This is, of all 8 of these, this is by far my most anticipated. I love Void Rivals, and I know it's going to be good, but this one is the one I'm most anticipating. This is written by Stephanie Phillips, who I'm a big fan of Stephanie Phillips' work. And this is the story where Gwen, Spider-Gwen from the Spider-Gwen universe, I forget which, Earth 65, is coming over to the 616, the main Marvel universe, for good, trapped here, moving here, and leaving that whole Earth behind. So I'm very curious on how that affects her life, her world, all those around her. She's been here before. She's worked with all the heroes here before. She was going to college here already, but now she's cut away from her father, her band, her friends, and all those people from her Earth. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out in this issue. So I'm really excited about this one. Can't wait to read this one. This will probably be like top of the pile book for me. So I'm giving this one a promisingly good. And so hopefully it does not disappoint. All right, so that is it for the first issues. I'm going to share just a handful of other books that are not number 1 issues or anything that I am also anticipating this coming week, that I'm looking forward to. I actually had a lot more on this list. I cut like 4 other books. It's a big week, a lot of books, but I'll just talk about the I think I left it at six standout books aside from those first issues and stuff that I am looking forward to. First up is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 120. I always say this, whether I'm by myself or with Kat and Mike over on Comic Book Weekly, this is one of the best books on the stands, and it's definitely the best team book on the stands. It has been solid and consistent for a very long time through a few creative teams, and this run is no different. So this is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 120, features the Solar Rangers. I'm sorry. Check out Power Rangers. It's good. Trust me. Next, we have Blood Hunt issue number 2. I'm not like super impressed with the event, but I am enjoying it. It's fun so far. Everything I've read tied to Blood Hunt, save for one book maybe, which was last week's Blood Hunters. I've enjoyed. I thought were fun. I'm kind of into the event. I think it's neat. I think it makes sense. The tie-ins are better than I thought they would be. The main story. The first issue was pretty solid as well. So I'm looking forward to this one, and hopefully it continues to keep my interest and continues to build upon that and turns into a really good event by the end of it. Superman issue 14. This continues the House of Brainiac story. The main match we saw in, I believe it was Action Comics. Ow, just hit my hand on my desk. But I believe it was in Action Comics this week. And I don't, without trying to spoil it, obviously the cover here kind of spoils it. But by the end of that issue, you have Lobo and Superman about to square off. And, with everything else that has gone on leading up to this point, I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out. They fought before, but circumstances, consequences are a little bit different here, and I want to see and really how this fight plays out. This is going to be a fun one. Then we have Feral issue number 3. Fantastic series. I'm at the point now, I've read 2 issues of this series. I've read all Stray Dogs. I've read 1 issue of Uncanny Valley. Haven't read issue 2 just yet. But all of this, I'm just at this point now that anything that Tony Fleecs puts out, I'm going to try. And I'm probably going to like, because so far I have not been disappointed once between these 3 books. So I'm really excited about this. I thought the first 2 issues were fantastic, and I can't wait for the 3rd. It's coming to an end. Cobra Commander, issue 5, last issue of this miniseries, prequel series to the larger G.I. Joe story that's going to continue. After this, we get Scarlet and Destro. Excited about those. Excited about the stuff from Free Comic Book Day that we got, with the continuation of Duke's story and where they're going to head with all of this. And I'm excited to see how this one ends as well. And finally, Rook Exodus issue number 2. The first issue blew me away. It was one of those books that I was just like, wow, this is just so good on so many levels. The art is next level, phenomenal. The storytelling, the pacing, the character work here, everything about it just hit all the notes for me personally. So I cannot wait for Rook Exodus number 2. The best book coming out of Ghost Machine so far for me. And that's it. That's going to wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed this larger episode of the show. Actually, I think I crunched it into about the same time frame, but I talked about a lot of books in this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I also want to give a shout out to my friend Chris, who left a comment on last week's show. Good hearing from you, man. And I've caught a couple of your videos as well this past week. And good to see you back doing the thing. And I appreciate the comments. We're still kind of in sync in our reading patterns, so it's kind of funny, and liking kind of the same thing. So that's pretty fun. But shout out to you and all you're doing. Go check out everything Dark Avenger, Chaotic Avenger, all that stuff from Chris Ventura over on his channel. So wanted to give a shout out for him. And of course, check us out on Comic Book Weekly each and every Tuesday night. Mike, Kat, and myself still doing that every Tuesday, at least for a couple of weeks. We're about to hit that summer break. Pretty soon we'll be making that announcement this coming Tuesday for dates on that. So stay tuned for that. But we talk about our top 5 and our, all the comic news and big books and all that stuff on Tuesday nights over on that channel. And but if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help. And of course, you can hit that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss any of the content up on this channel. Of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics and type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about what? Only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care. Keep reading those comics.